Have you ever started using a new project management tool, only to find yourself more confused and overwhelmed than when you started? You're looking for a simple solution to streamline your work, but instead, you get hit with a tidal wave of features, a steep learning curve, and a price tag that makes you do a double take. Well, if you've ever felt this way, you're not alone. And if you've been looking at Asana, you might be at a crossroads, wondering if it's the right choice for your team. Asana is a powerhouse in the project management world, and for good reason. It's got a ton of features, from multiple project views to robust automation. But, like any tool, it's not perfect. In fact, some of its biggest strengths can also be its greatest weaknesses, depending on who you are and what you need. So, let's get into the nitty-gritty of what a lot of people consider the main disadvantages of Asana. First up, let's talk about the learning curve. Asana is feature-rich, and while that sounds great on paper, it can be incredibly intimidating for new users. When you first log in, you're presented with a lot of options: lists, boards, timelines, calendar views, custom fields, and more. If you're a beginner who's never used a project management tool before, this can feel like trying to navigate a spaceship with 100 buttons and no manual. The sheer number of features can lead to what some call feature bloat, a feeling that the tool is just too much for simple projects. While Asana is intuitive for experienced users, the ramp-up time for a new team member can be significant. Training and onboarding are often necessary to get your team to a point where they are truly leveraging the platform's power, and that takes time and resources. For teams that just want a simple, no-fuss way to track tasks, Asana can feel unnecessarily complex. Next, let's talk about a major pain point for many teams: task assignments. One of Asana's core philosophies is that a task should only have one person responsible for it. The idea is to eliminate confusion and make it crystal clear who owns a task. And in some cases, this works great. But what happens when you have a task that genuinely requires multiple people to be responsible for its completion? For example, a content piece that needs to be written by one person, edited by another, and then formatted by a third. In Asana, you can't assign a single task to all three people. You have to either create subtasks for each person or make multiple copies of the same task, which can quickly become a logistical nightmare. It makes tracking progress difficult and can lead to a lot of manual work just to keep things organized. While you can add collaborators to a task, the distinction between an assignee and a collaborator isn't always clear, and it still doesn't solve the core problem of shared responsibility. Now, let's move on to the money. Asana's pricing can be a major disadvantage, especially for growing teams. While there is a free tier, it's quite limited. Once you want to access key features like timeline view, advanced reporting, or the workflow builder, you have to upgrade to a paid plan. And these paid plans can get expensive fast. As your team grows, the cost per user adds up, and you may find yourself paying a lot more than you would for a comparable tool. It's not just the per user cost either. Asana's paid plans often come with seat-based pricing, meaning you might have to pay for a block of users even if you don't need all the seats. This can be a huge cost burden for small to medium-sized businesses or startups on a tight budget. When you compare Asana's pricing to competitors like Trello or ClickUp, it's often one of the more expensive options, and for teams that don't need all the advanced features, the value proposition can start to fall apart. And finally, let's talk about a few of the smaller but still significant frustrations. For a tool so focused on project management, Asana's built-in time tracking and reporting capabilities can be a bit basic, especially on the lower-tier plans. If you need to invoice clients based on time spent or get detailed analytics on team performance, you'll often have to integrate with a third-party application, which can add another layer of complexity and cost. Another common complaint is the lack of robust in-app collaboration features. While you can comment on tasks and share files, there's no dedicated team chat function like you'd find in other platforms. This often means teams have to use another tool like Slack or Microsoft Teams for real-time communication, leading to information silos and a fragmented workflow. So, while Asana is a fantastic tool with a lot to offer, it's important to go into it with your eyes wide open. The learning curve can be steep, the one-person-per-task model can be restrictive, the price can be a barrier for many teams, and the lack of some core features like advanced time tracking and team chat can be frustrating. It's a powerful tool, but it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. For some, it might be the perfect fit, but for others, the disadvantages might just outweigh the benefits. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.